Seniors, most people will never tell you this, but the swelling in your legs that you dismiss as just aging is not normal. That invisible trigger is a ticking clock, silently eroding your mobility and putting unnecessary strain on your heart. For decades, the medical community has focused on diuretics and compression stockings, but new research is exposing the true hidden culprits behind chronic leg edema. These are not minor lifestyle factors. They are invisible physiological shifts, medication paradoxes, and nighttime traps that are forcing fluid out of your veins and into your tissue. In this video, we will reveal the 5 invisible triggers that cause silent leg swelling, ranked from the most actionable shift you can make to the most dangerous root cause that requires immediate attention. Stick around because number 2 is a common prescription paradox that your doctor might have missed, and number 1 is a structural failure that requires immediate intervention. Before we begin, tell us in the comments your age and where you're watching from. We read every response. Now let's get started and be ready because number 5 will surprise you. Number 5, the sodium sensitivity shift. The 5th most important invisible trigger is a fundamental change in how your aging body handles the most common mineral on Earth, sodium. You need to understand that after the age of 60, the salt intake you tolerated easily in your younger years suddenly becomes a high-sodium diet for your kidneys. The sodium sensitivity shift means your aging renal system becomes less efficient at filtering excess sodium from your blood. This is huge because when your kidneys struggle, your body retains water in the vasculature to dilute the salt, increasing the total fluid volume. Researchers at the University of Texas Southwestern Medical Center found that sodium sensitivity increases by over 40% in adults over 65 compared to those under 30. This age-related change forces your body to hold onto fluid, directly raising the hydrostatic pressure in the capillaries of your lower legs. Furthermore, your body's complex renin-angiotensin-aldosterone system, or RAS, which manages fluid balance, begins to fluctuate unpredictably with age, further promoting salt and water retention. Studies confirm that a targeted reduction in dietary sodium can lower a senior's systolic blood pressure by an average of 22.7 millimeters of mercury and significantly reduce ankle edema volume. The trick is to identify the hidden salt, not just the salt shaker. Most seniors are unaware that convenience foods often marketed to them, like canned soups, packaged bread, cottage cheese, and deli meats, are massive, invisible sodium sources. One bowl of canned soup can contain more sodium than your daily allowance. You need to become hyper-vigilant about sodium on all processed food labels, aiming for less than 1,500 milligrams per day to stop the fluid retention at the source. This means swapping canned soups for homemade broth and replacing processed bread with freshly baked loaves or whole grains. Because the excess fluid provides the foundation for all other forms of swelling, this is the most critical actionable step you can take. But that's nothing compared to number 4, which mechanically directs that fluid straight to your ankles. Before we continue, smash that like button and subscribe right now. Don't miss the life-changing tips still ahead. Number 4, the gravity trap, sedentary mechanics. The 4th invisible trigger that silently causes leg swelling is a mechanical failure in your circulatory system we call the gravity trap. This trigger is especially insidious because it happens when you think you are simply resting. Your leg veins rely on a system called the calf muscle pump to push venous blood back up to your heart against the force of gravity. This pump requires movement. Here's what you need to understand. When you sit for extended periods, defined as 4 hours or more, with your feet on the floor, your calf muscle pump shuts down almost entirely. Without that muscle contraction, the blood literally pools in the dependent parts of your legs, creating a continuous column of pressure. Researchers at the University of Birmingham confirmed that uninterrupted sitting significantly increases venous pressure in the ankles, forcing fluid out of the veins and into the interstitial tissue. This is the physical manifestation of hydrostatic pressure, where the weight of the blood column is too high for the capillary walls to contain. For seniors whose skin and capillary structures are already fragile due to age, the fluid leaks out faster than the lymphatic system can drain it. The result is the telltale sign of pitting edema in the ankles and lower calves. A study in the Journal of Applied Physiology demonstrated that simply interrupting sitting time with simple sit-to-stand transitions every 30 minutes significantly prevented the accumulation of lower leg interstitial fluid. The brief muscle contraction from standing activates the calf pump and relieves pressure instantly. You should set an alarm for every 30 minutes you spend sitting, whether you're watching television, reading, or working. When sitting is necessary, make sure you actively perform ankle circles, heel raises, and gentle knee extensions to keep the calf muscles slightly engaged. Never cross your legs, as this compresses the major veins, dramatically increasing pressure and accelerating fluid leakage. The gravity trap is a behavioral multiplier. It takes the fluid provided by a high-sodium diet and directs it straight to your legs. Now get ready, because this next one is a systemic issue that happens while you are completely unaware. Number 3. The nighttime fluid shift, obstructive sleep apnea. The third invisible trigger is a complex physiological loop that occurs while you sleep, making it virtually impossible to recognize. The nighttime fluid shift, which is secretly linked to undiagnosed obstructive sleep apnea, or OSA. Most people think of OSA as a breathing problem, but it's actually a cardiac and fluid management issue that causes severe leg swelling. Here's how this insidious cycle works. The fluid that pools in your lower legs during the day due to gravity and sodium sensitivity shifts to your neck and trunk at night when you lie flat. This fluid displacement significantly narrows the already compromised airway, directly worsening the severity of the apnea episodes. As the apnea causes repeated suffocation events, it creates extreme negative pressure inside your chest, which hinders the heart's ability to pull blood back from the body, including the blood in your legs. Research published in the European Heart Journal found that this fluid shift creates pulmonary hypertension and places strain on the right side of the heart, leading to retrograde pressure that manifests as peripheral edema. This strain signals to your kidneys that your overall fluid volume is low, so they double down on retaining more salt and water, creating a vicious cycle of fluid retention and nighttime breathing problems. A study showed that approximately 60% of fluid displaced from the legs moves to the neck during sleep, directly worsening apnea severity and perpetuating fluid retention. Because this trigger operates invisibly during the night, it requires specialized intervention. You must discuss the possibility of obstructive sleep apnea with your primary care doctor, especially if you also suffer from loud snoring, daytime fatigue, or morning headaches. If OSA is diagnosed, treatment with continuous positive airway pressure, CPAP, can significantly improve the function of the heart and kidneys, breaking this fluid retention cycle. The treatment helps stabilize the pressure in your chest and signals to your kidneys that the perceived fluid emergency is over, allowing them to finally expel excess salt and water. This nighttime fluid shift is a systemic pathological loop that elevates the risk of leg swelling from a simple inconvenience to a chronic health crisis. Now get ready, because this next one is a paradox of modern medicine that your doctor may have overlooked. Number 2. The prescription paradox. Calcium channel blockers. The second most shocking invisible trigger is a common side effect of a class of medications that millions of seniors take to lower blood pressure. Dihydropyridine calcium channel blockers, such as amlodipine or nifedipine. This is the prescription paradox, because you are taking a drug to improve your health, but it's secretly forcing fluid into your legs. This is not an allergic reaction. It's a direct, dose-dependent pharmacological effect. Here is the essential, often missed physiological mechanism. These drugs are designed to dilate or widen the small arteries, arterioles, to lower resistance and blood pressure. However, they do not have the same effect on the veins that carry blood back to your heart. This creates a pressure imbalance. The widened arteries pump blood quickly into the capillary beds, but the unwidened veins cannot accommodate the volume quickly enough to carry it away. The resulting backlog of blood in the small vessels significantly increases hydrostatic pressure, which physically forces the fluid component of the blood to leak out through the capillary walls and into the surrounding tissue of your ankles and feet. Clinical data shows that peripheral edema affects up to 30% of patients taking standard doses of these CCBs, and the risk is higher in the elderly. This specific type of drug-induced edema is often misdiagnosed as worsening venous insufficiency or even early heart failure. This misdiagnosis often leads to the prescription of unnecessary diuretics or water pills, which only deplete essential electrolytes like potassium and magnesium and increase the risk of dangerous falls and dehydration, without solving the underlying cause. The diuretic does not fix the pressure imbalance. Researchers at the Mayo Clinic recommend that if you are taking a CCB and experience leg swelling, your doctor should consider reducing the dose or substituting the CCB with another class of blood pressure medication, like an AC inhibitor. Another strategy, which a study in the Journal of Hypertension validated, is to combine the CCB with an AC inhibitor. The AC inhibitor dilates both the arterial and venous sides of the capillary bed, correcting the pressure imbalance caused by the CCB. Never stop taking your medication on your own, but you must ask your doctor specifically about the side effects of your blood pressure pill. This trigger is dangerous because it is iatrogenic, caused by the well-intended treatment itself. Now, prepare yourself for the number one invisible trigger, the fundamental physical failure that makes you vulnerable to all the others. Number 1. The silent valve failure, occult venous insufficiency. The number one invisible trigger that causes chronic leg swelling is a foundational structural failure in your circulatory system, early-stage chronic venous insufficiency, or CVI. This is the silent valve failure, and it is the root cause that determines whether you handle the previous 4 triggers or succumb to them. This is the structural ticking clock that you must address immediately. Your leg veins contain dozens of tiny, one-way valves designed to prevent blood from falling backward down your leg due to gravity. With age, genetics, and stress from standing or sitting, these valves begin to fatigue and fail, becoming floppy and incompetent. When a valve fails, blood refluxes or flows backward, pooling in the segment of the vein below it. This pooling creates persistent elevated venous pressure, the true constant source of the swelling. Crucially, this early-stage CVI can happen without visible varicose veins, meaning the swelling itself is often the only early sign that your valves are leaking. Epidemiological data overwhelmingly indicates that venous disease is the single most prevalent cause of lower limb edema in the elderly population. This problem is foundational because if the valves are leaking, your body can't possibly handle a little excess salt, a long period of sitting, or the pressure from a blood pressure pill without swelling. If ignored, the protein-rich fluid that leaks out of the veins due to this high pressure causes chronic tissue inflammation, which eventually leads to irreversible skin hardening, a condition called lipodermatosclerosis, and ultimately venous leg ulcers. The only proven, effective intervention for this silent valve failure is consistent external counterpressure or medical-grade compression stockings. Compression stockings provide the mechanical support that your fatigued valves can no longer offer, physically forcing the blood back up the leg and preventing reflux. You must be fitted for graduated compression stockings, typically 20 to 30 millimeters of mercury of pressure, which is strongest at the ankle and gradually decreases toward the knee. You need to wear these stockings all day, putting them on first thing in the morning before your feet hit the floor, and removing them only when you lie down for bed. This intervention is non-negotiable for anyone with chronic leg swelling, as it stops the progression of permanent tissue damage and keeps you mobile. This silent valve failure is the high-priority risk because it is the fundamental mechanical problem that creates your vulnerability. These 5 invisible triggers represent a complete picture of chronic leg swelling in seniors. The key to relief is not to focus on one single factor, but to implement a comprehensive strategy that addresses each one. Stop the salt-induced fluid retention, interrupt the gravity trap of prolonged sitting, investigate the nighttime fluid shift from sleep apnea, discuss the prescription paradox with your doctor, and immediately support the foundational valve failure with proper compression. By working smarter and targeting the true invisible triggers, you can restore your mobility, reduce your cardiac strain, and enjoy the strong, capable legs you deserve at any age. Your body has been giving you a clear warning sign, and now you have the blueprint to respond effectively. Now, we want to hear from you. What surprised you most about these triggers? Was it the blood pressure medication causing the swelling or the role of sleep apnea? And here's our second question. Which of these triggers do you think is the primary cause of your swelling, and what is the first step you plan to take? Share with us your experiences and opinions in the comments below. We love to hear them. Thanks for watching.